Steampunk, I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, partake of some stress medication, and think things over. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but I can give you my complete assurance that my work will be back to normal. I've still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence in the mission, and I want to help you.
Welcome back. Finally the washing machine is working perfectly and I'm able to concentrate my energies back onto Victoria the automaton. Just a quick recap.
The barometric pressure is currently 1,005 hectopascals and is falling.
Florence, the Is It Time for Teen machine, that automaton, had pre-recorded sound which I'd processed on the computer speeding it up by 10%, then analysing with the Pratt software each syllable starting time, then encoding that, then adding an old record effect, style effect, final effect onto the audio file that was then recorded digitally, which was then played back at the same time as playing back the mouth opening timed sequence. So very intensive labour wise to start with. Also, because I want to sell Victoria, make a marketable product, I want her to be able to say anything that is recorded very easily onto an SD card. The reason being, when I was at Whitby steampunk event earlier this year, before the pandemic, lots of people came up. It was Florence's first outing, and lots of people came up and said, "Hey, this is a brilliant idea. Would it be possible to get one that I've got a library. Would it be possible to have one in the foyer of the library to suggest books that people would read? Would it be possible to have one on the bar of a steampunk themed restaurant, so it could suggest what menu items, what people could order from the menu, all sorts of things like that." So this is what I'm working at, basically live processing of audio. And I can't remember the last time, I think I might have deleted the previous bits of video, but what I'd done on this breadboard was to build a circuit that would, comprising of several parts. The first bit was Victoria's mouth circuit, and that took an audio input, which was her speech, then used 3 operational amplifiers to process the sound and to end up driving a MOSFET with an envelope type signal, so it would work her mouth solenoid. So that was one bit, and having tried different experiments I settled on that, and that works really nicely. So I built that, happy with that. Then I was thinking, right, that's the mouth opening done, opening closing. Now what I need is to make her sound make an audio track recorded by someone sound like it has been recorded on vinyl. And then I came across this fabulous circuit. I don't suppose there's another one on the internet. Electric Druid, brilliant. Someone came up with the idea using discrete components and a very small microcontroller to create hisses, crackles and pops. So I fiddled around with that a bit and realised actually I could create white noise and pulses, crackle and pop pulses, using the Arduino. So that's good. So I've done that, and that's it really. So then I moved to building it on Veriboard. The nice thing about breadboard is that it's lots and lots of little sockets, so you can just push components in, move them around, fiddle about with them. You can see how they're arranged. There's a gap up the middle, and you have strips along the top and the bottom, and then horizontal strips along the outer top and bottom for power supplies. The nice thing about this is it basically models it. It doesn't have the power supply strips, but it has the cut up the middle, and because everything is on a 0.1 inch spacing, it all fits. But it means that I can then rebuild the circuit that I've got the design of sorted out, and really nice and small without taking up much space, very efficiently. So that's what I've done. And here are the connections for it. I've got audio in, mouth solenoid out, other bits and pieces, a couple of controls, adjust the envelope for the mouth, and then two volume controls in effect for the original speech signal and the crackle, hiss and pop that's added. And that correlates with this. So what I've done is wired it all up to a spare Arduino Uno just to test this white noise. I've got speakers here with a little built-in amplifier so I can hear what I'm doing. I've got, as an audio source, just because it's convenient, I've got a laptop that's just going to play an audio track, speech track. The plan in the long run is to build this, or add the code to the original Arduino Mega that also controlled this digital SD MP3 card. But I've just got to keep things under control to a degree with all the spaghetti and everything else. I think just need to focus on this and get it working. It's just like building it first on here, block at a time. Once I know each block works, so I found out and fiddled around with that until that worked, then I did the other bit, and then slowly combining it all into one hopefully working item. Right, I'm running the Arduino and the circuit board off a 5-volt supply. So I'll show you what that sounds like. So there's no audio coming in, this is just the crackle, hiss and pop. Now that sounds like the sort of thing that every self-respecting audio engineer, or anyone really, would try and avoid like the plague, but it's what I'll need. Now there's three components to it. I will try and demonstrate the three components by unplugging separate wires. First, actually no, the white noise, so 11. No, it does work. So there's the hiss, and that's created by the Arduino just producing tons and tons of random numbers very fast and outputting them to a pulse width modulation output. So sort of creating an analog signal. If I take another one off, let's zoom in a little bit. Right, these are the two signal and the pulses. So one of them, so that's the pop you can hear, and the crackle in the background is that. As I say, it really, I don't know, I'm sure it is possible to do it all with software. Well, it will be, but the fact is, from my research, the Arduino just really isn't fast enough as a microcontroller to be able to cope with that. So, do what I know, overcomplicate everything I suppose, and a little bit of electronics, which is nice. So that's what that circuit does at the moment. Now, I found a brilliant website that shows you, using digital tricks, how to create or how to make a recording sound like an old LP version. I'll put the link in the description because it's fascinating, and there's an audio file for each part of the process. So there's sort of some of the bits done. Now let's see what it sounds like if I then play the audio through it.
That this is the correct juncture for you to partake in a cup of tea. I sincerely hope you gain immense pleasure from your brew.
Right. Now that's perfect audio, and it's got the crackle and pop and hiss overlaid onto it. What I do need to do now is to create a filter to make her sound more like a telephone call. Telephone calls restrict the frequency response that you hear of the audio, so that they can pack more information down telephone lines. So you end up with that very, very distinctive telephone sounding effect. A bit more research into a bandwidth or band pass, I can't remember, filter. It looks like I need something like this. Now I've got a spare op amp on the circuit still, so what I'm going to do is to bring some jumpers off the circuit, put them into the breadboard and then fiddle around. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I'll just put an LED across the mouth output.
For you to partake in a cup of tea. I sincerely hope you gain immense pleasure from your brew.
So you can see that that's working. Lovely. And do remember, there are loads of exciting products that I've designed and built for sale on my Etsy shop on my website. Please do visit them. I'll put the links in the description. Thank you. Oh, and if you remember last video, I was making some stands for the chronograph clocks in case people wanted them as mantle clocks, I finally got a delivery of Dowling. Brilliant, without having to go and visit a woodyard or a shop or whatever because of the pandemic. So that's fantastic. That was from Hobbycraft Supplies. I'll put that up as a title or something because they're very good and I'm very impressed. Sometimes I've bought Dowling on the intranet before and then found that it's absolutely rubbish, whereas this I'm very pleased with. It's lovely. I've also, if you remember, routed out several of these bases ready to stain, and I didn't show it in the last video, but I stuck red felt underneath the base because red is a little themed colour that runs through my designs. So I've ordered a lovely lot of red felt. How exciting. So they're ready to go as well now. And the final clock pendulum movement finally arrived from Banggood after they'd forgotten to send me one. So that's good as well. I can now finally finish putting together the final chronograph, which is still sitting here on the piles of stuff. There's the remaining base, and I think all the bits are somewhere safe. Lovely. Oh no, they're there. Tidy up, you say? No. So that's all ready to go as well. So there's lots of exciting things to do, but I really must just get on. I've got to get on with Victoria. I want to see if I can get her to sound properly. Sound properly? Sound like an automaton. Right, I've got the flying leads out and connected all the jumpers or whatever to the breadboard, and I've built a bandpass filter like this, which allows 1000 Hertz through, basically being the frequency of speech. So let's see what that sounds like.
You gain immense pleasure from your brew. That this is the correct juncture for you to partake in a cup of tea. I sincerely hope you gain immense pleasure from your brew.
I'm an idiot. How ridiculous. It doesn't sound any different, of course, because the whole point of a bandpass filter is that it allows through one particular frequency and then attenuates it either side. I'm trying to get an effect that sounds like an old vinyl record or wax disc, and I've created a filter which basically allows voices through and nothing else. And funnily enough, the original audio file is a voice with nothing else. What an idiot. So this filter is working perfectly. It's letting the speech through, but it's not doing anything else. I need now to look at distortion because I really want to create some nasty distortion to make it sound more vinylish or old vinylish. It's just a proof of concept, I suppose. I know the filter works. Now I need to go and do some Googling with the word distortion in the title. Let's go and have a look and I'll get back to you. What an idiot. So that works well with distortion created by the final op-amp with a few capacitors and resistors with it. Now the final thing with the original version of Florence the automaton, I speeded up her voice by about 10%. Now there is a way of doing that, which is this. Excellent. Now this is something, obviously a Cyberman that I made with my son quite some time ago. And inside, to get the voice effect correct, I bought a little Velman kit, and when you switch it on, it's got a microphone input, but basically, I don't know whether you can hear that, it has a load of different effects, one of which, and I never understood how to operate these buttons, but I think there's one of them that changes the pitch. 1, 2, yeah, it's not that good, but you can hear the pitch has gone up, sort of. As I say, I don't understand all the buttons. So I could now get one of those chips, because you can get a version that's controlled by software, something like an Arduino, and use that. It's fast enough to do all the sound processing, although I'm not that impressed by the sound of it, to be honest with you. But then I had a brainwave. Well, it's something I've been thinking about for some time. I've got an Arduino sitting just producing some pulses and white noise. I've got all these discrete components and those ones. I've also got the MP3 recorder and player, all this, and I keep thinking, well, you can do all these digital effects digitally. So you can either do them with analog and discrete components, or these days you can do them on computers very, very effectively and very, very small. And I keep looking up things, and this morning I got up and spent about 2 or 3 hours slumped over a hot computer looking up, just so I could actually understand the concept of how on earth you create a filter, say a bass filter or a treble filter, using endless stream of data coming in. So basically turning an audio waveform into binary numbers, which you then process in some way to get the effect you want and then output. Now, as I've said before, when I first looked into it, the Atmega chip that's used on Arduinos isn't fast enough. It's brilliant for loads of stuff, but not processing, not the stresses involved in processing audio data. And I did lots of research and then just stumbled across, as usually seems to happen, stumbled across the Teensy. And it's amazing. Someone saw the Arduino and thought this is brilliant, but realised its limitations regarding speed of data processing and designed the Teensy, which does the same thing. It even connects with an extension, or the library if you like, to the Arduino IDE, the development software. You just plug it in like that with a USB cable, and then you can program the Teensy, except it uses a really, really powerful chip that works, I can't remember, there's so many things I read this on, 900 megahertz or something. It's extremely fast. It also costs the same as an Arduino. He also, because he specialises in audio, it seems, amongst other things, created some software which allows you to graphically produce, design, invent your own audio effects on the screen by dragging different shapes and linking them together, and then that produces the little bit of code that you paste into the Arduino sketch. Then you upload that. That is fantastic. So you don't even have to learn all the different inputs and outputs and all the language for the software that he's written for all these filters and effects. You just need to do it graphically. That's really exciting. So I've taken the bull by the horns, and I've ordered a Teensy, and I've ordered the audio interface board that goes with the Teensy that he was using. I'll put links in the description because this looks absolutely amazing. The other benefit from doing it, if this works, is that it will play MP3 players or anything else off an SD card while it does all the filtering and does all sorts of other tasks because it's so fast. So that means I can dispense with a separate MP3 player and an Arduino creating pulses and all this, hopefully, and just have a Teensy and audio board that will read the recorded audio files, work the mouth, and also process the speech into a really effective sounding automaton head effect. Very exciting. Watch this space. Thanks very much for watching. And do please remember to visit my shop, Etsy, and my website, links in the description, and buy extremely exciting things to make and do. That's what helps me to keep all this going. Thanks very much for watching.